Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Ryan here. Ryan, you're somebody who's been an entrepreneur for quite some time, and you've been able to have some amazing success in the space by really providing great value to people. You took a company to a profitable exit in a short period of time, and now you're working on a really important problem, which is how to really help grow the stem cell space. And it's a space that has proven to help a lot of people. And I think that there are solutions that need to be brought much more to the masses there. And you're leading strategic growth right now and scale to help make this happen. So I'm excited to dive in and to have you here.
Thanks, Ben. It's exciting. Yeah. The project we're working on now is incredible, and I'm just honored to be with you and to kind of share some thoughts today.
Awesome. So just let's just go back to the foundation. Like, how did your interest in being an entrepreneur and being somebody who built companies, begin? What kind of made you gravitate towards like a little bit more of the health space? And I mean, that could be a more complex space. What made you want to be in that area too and just start building?
So my background isn't in any of that at all. In fact, my background, I tell people that my entire career has been in a browser. I grew up as a business technology coder. Like I was building I think the first shopping cart I actually wrote from scratch was in 1997,
Wow.
right? In Perl. And so like I grew up in the internet space. I worked in the Silicon Valley, had amazing opportunities in Silicon Valley. One of the companies I was working for at that time was the third largest IPO in 2000 in 2000. So it was like I rode the dot-com boom and bust. So I was all a part of that. Had an opportunity to come to Idaho in the early 2000s, so like 2001. I think I moved my family here, and my focus is from that point on was just building technology, business technology. So every time we met somebody, we would reinvent ourselves to their needs. Right? I had a small development team, and it was really fun until it got to the point where through circumstances that little company was acquired to another company and I got to the point where I was a CTO of a company that supported Fortune 500, building global infrastructures, cloud-based infrastructures, and I just really kind of priced myself out of the marketplace.
Mm.
I had a great career, I had a great lifestyle, and my family was amazing, but it got to the point where I was like, there's something more. And I think that was the drive. And so, about for 5 years, I continued in this position and continued to support the company. But I got the team to a point where they were really just gelling. Like we weren't expanding anymore. We were in maintenance mode. Sales were going great. The company was running strong. And I just kind of stepped back and looked at myself and said, what do I really want? Like if I could paint the picture of what I wanted, what would it be? And honestly, it came down to an idea of service.
Mm.
I wanted to be able to serve others in a way, like my ultimate goal is to be able to serve others in a way that allows them to see the best that they can be. And I think that as a leader, even as I stepped out from coding into management into like envisioning technology, it was always fun for me to be able to watch others grow and to see others excel in who they are. In fact, at one point, I would tell my development team, "You need to take an hour a day of R and D. 1 hour a day of R&D. Go do side projects. Go do things that make you excited about doing the job you're doing, and then bring it back and let's do show and tell." So I was always looking to advance
Mm.
people in their personal careers, and so that's really what I focused on. And so 5 years, I started looking for what it could be, what's the possibility, how I could do this. And then one day, a friend of mine moved into our neighborhood, and I knew his twin brother, I knew his sisters, I knew his family, and I went over to his house, and literally I led with that question. I was sitting down with Dr. Todd Watts, and I said, "How can I serve you?" Because that was really the heart of where I was trying to be. And he looked at me and he said, "I need a CEO." And I was like, "Huh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that answer." And and he's like, "I have these supplements and I'm trying to sell them." He had his own practice. His business partner at the time, Dr. Jay Davidson, had his practice, and they were literally running their business while running another business. And they're like, "We need help here. And I started looking at what they had, and I was blown away. Their marketing, what their logo was terrible, their marketing was terrible, but they were selling product.
Mm.
And I started digging into who they were, and I was just drawn to it. And so I quickly came on board. I told Jay and Todd, you guys are going to get a lot more out of me than you realize. And that was the start. So that was in the end of 2017, so early 2018, and we grew that company. It was the company's name, Cellcore Biosciences. We grew that company to an exit that in just over 4 years.
Mm.
That was absolutely incredible. And what I loved about that entire aspect is our company motto at the time was creating supplements is what we do, but restoring hope and health is who we are. And
Mm.
it was really dug into this consumer health industry and understanding that there are people out there that are incredibly challenged with their health. There are people that are struggling, and for 10 years they've been going to doctor after doctor after doctor, and they haven't found solutions. And then all of a sudden they grasp onto something that gives them hope, and it changes their lives. And we were part of that. I saw that on literally a daily basis. So when we exited that company, I took some time off. I bought a farm here in Idaho, and I love my cows and my pigs and my chickens and my rabbits, but I went to a conference and I met a gentleman named Christian Drapeau. Christian Drapeau has been a stem cell scientist for over 20 years. He initially started studying this in 1999, 1998. In 2001, he read an article that showed how stem cells can become heart cells. He read an article how stem cells can become liver cells and brain cells. And he's like, wait a second, if this is truly what's happening in our body, this is the secret of the body's natural ability to repair. And as I heard him talking about this and the product that he created, it was in a small room. There were only about 100 people in that room. I was lit. It was one of those moments again, just like when Todd said, I need a CEO, and like lightning struck and was like, this is where you need to be. I saw Christian talk, and I was blown away at his authenticity, at his courage, and the message that he has of the body's innate ability to repair. And that really took me to the opportunity to get to know him. He and his wife, Stephanie, who is absolutely an amazing soul. They came to my house. We spent the weekend. We got to know each other. We started working together. I have a small team that I had from Cellcore, my chief revenue officer and my chief of staff, who's chief operating officer. They came on board. We were together. We all started working. And now we're in the possibility of having another amazing experience where truly all we're trying to do is support Christian's dream to be able to get this message to the world in a way that he hasn't known how to do it before.
Mhm.
So that's the background. That's the story.
So you kind of jumped into the CEO seat just by being asked, and you weren't even expecting it.
It was an act of service. I literally said the words, how can I serve you? And it was an opportunity that changed my life.
Wow, that's incredible. What do you think you did right that enabled you to get this exit so fast? I mean, was marketing turnaround? Like you mentioned, the marketing need to be better. Was it branding?
So one of the things that I identified early on is I had two amazing business partners. Dr. Jay Davidson and Dr. Todd Watts were owner influencers with such ethos and character that I could put. You know that you remember the movie Good Will Hunting,
Of course.
right? You remember when he walks up and he's like, my buddy's wicked smart. You know what I mean? You know that
Yeah.
line? That's how I felt about these guys. I mean, they were so incredibly intelligent and had such stage presence that I knew right then and there that I could build something behind them.
Mhm.
And that was the key. So there were three things that stood out to me. First of all, the owner influencer was absolutely incredible. It was key to who we were. It was products that worked. And what I mean by that is somebody would take the product, our flagship product, which was Para One Mimosa Pudica seed. They would take the product and have an experience. Most supplements, you take a product and you're like, oh yeah, it's helping. No, this you took this product and you had an experience. It was you knew that it was doing something and acting in your body. Whether it was a good or bad experience, it was an experience. And then the ability to build a community around those two elements was truly the secret sauce. Um, and if and we took the attitude of we're really bringing hope and health to the lives of the people around us. If you really bring that attitude of service and love and compassion, the revenue will come, the growth will come, because people are looking for that today. People are really taking an opportunity to try to find something that they can grasp onto that will give them hope, especially people that are challenged with their health or and are struggling with feeling the way that they can feel.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the mission is very powerful, and there's clearly a lot of people that want that and need that. Um, so, how did this acquisition opportunity even happen, Ryan? And why did you feel like it was the right time to step away from it?
Well, there was a company that I was kind of shadowing, Microbiome Labs. They were not, we weren't competitors, but we were in the same space. And Kieran was the founder of Microbiome Labs, and he and I became friends. And we started talking about different challenges. You know, it's always good to have people that you can lean on. It's always good to have people that you can have a conversation with about your business that are outside of your business. And so Kieran became that for me. And I talked to him several times a year. It wasn't like we were talking weekly side of things, but as I was watching his company grow, and he was about 2 years ahead of us, um, I saw their acquisition, and I was like, okay, now it's time. So I paced myself based off of another company that was like-minded, similar structure, similar concepts, doing things a little bit differently. We weren't competing with each other. We were very complementary. Um, but I was introduced to the same individual that brokered Microbiome Lab Cell.
Mm,
And Jimmy was, who is the head of merger and acquisitions for worldwide for Rothschild in the consumer health space. Jimmy Banu is one of the most amazing individuals that I've ever met. And he came in, he treated us with love and respect. He told it he was straight. He's like, this is what you guys need. We spent about a year of cleanup
mm,
in being able, because one of the challenges is your numbers have to tell the story that your company's telling. So your financials have to be just as in place. And as a startup, company where you really feel like you're building the plane while you're flying it, we had a lot to clean up, and they supported us in that.
mhm,
And Jimmy took us to market, and it was extremely fun.
hmm. Interesting. So now with stem cells, I mean, you mentioned the opportunity of what you can do. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I remember when this kind of broke out into the scene of this like advancement of what you can do, and like everyone was thinking about countless solutions and what's possible and what's not, and it seemed very positive. I think we've seen some results. I think there's still a lot more to go. How do you kind of view the focus here? Because there's stem cells, you can kind of do anything with them. Like, how do you kind of hone in on just an area to really focus on?
Well, fortunately, again, it's the founder influencer. Christian Drapeau is an individual that has incredible ethos. His character is amazing, and he can explain things in a way that people just understand, right? So having Christian as an individual that is the owner influencer that we can build that that social platform around, that we can build that the knowledge experience around is incredibly easy. The other side of this is the products that we have actually work, and just to be able to get into a little bit about what STEMREGEN is. Our flagship product, which is Release, is a product that actually stimulates the release of your own stem cells from your bone marrow. So it's not we're not doing any injections. We're not doing you're not taking stem cells in a capsule. What it is people have the ability to, and this is what we can substantiate. We have the science to prove this is by taking 2 capsules of our product, you can increase between 10 and 12 million stem cells in your body.
Mhm.
That's proven. So you do that twice a day, over the course of 30 days, that's 600 million stem cells that you've put in circulation in your body. When you go get an injection, a localized injection, or any sort of stem cell treatment, you're dealing with anything from 25 to 100 million, right? So for the cost of our bottle for 1 month, um, you can increase 600 million stem cells in your body on a regular basis. So the question that we ask is, what happens when you have that many stem cells in circulation in your body? And I think that's really the key, because remember I talked about like an owner influencer product that works in a community that you can build around it. Having somebody have an experience on our product is the best thing that can happen. And we have stories from anywhere from a gentleman who I know really well had traumatic brain injury, to the point where he couldn't go watch his kids play basketball unless he had earplugs in and ear canceling headphones, and he could only spend about 15 minutes at a time, and he had to go decompress and come back. Like, that's no way to live. He was dealing with that for 10 years. Um, 4 to 6 weeks on our product, and he spent 6 hours in a gym watching his kids play basketball.
Mhm.
And he literally
Wow.
called me and he's like, "You have changed my life." Another example is a good friend of mine. She had shoulder surgery,
Mm.
and she's older. I think she's like 70, 76, 77. So she's old. Shoulder surgery, the recovery from shoulder surgery, if you're healthy, is challenging. But if you're older, it's even more so. I gave her some product a month ahead of surgery. She got on to surgery. She started taking it. She went to the doc to a 2 week checkup, and the doctor's like, "What are you doing?" She had full movement, full rotation. He's like, "You're 4 weeks ahead of schedule. Like, I'm ready to put you on PT right now. And I wasn't planning to do that for another 4 weeks.
Wow.
Like, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, there's just stuff." And he's like, "That's so." When you have experiences where people over and over and over,
Mhm.
that's the anecdotal effects that we're having. Now, what we have to do is we have to be able to tell that story in a way that the medical environment, that the doctors and that will be able to understand that. So now we go into, how do we tell that story in a way that works for them? Because what if what we're saying is real, it's bigger than us, right? So we've gone into some preliminary studies on cardiovascular disease. We have a heart study being done in Spain right now that has 20 people on it, and they're seeing 100% reversal um, in a congenitive heart failure that they've had for 2 years.
Mm.
Right. So these are things that, like, we're showing that if you can increase the number of stem cells in your body, if we can support the body's natural ability to repair, then repair will happen. And I
Mhm.
don't think that's a message that people know or understand. And so it's an
Yeah.
uphill battle for us to tell that story. But that's where, from a marketing standpoint, one of the things that we do is we take Eugene Schwartz 5 levels of awareness. If you're not familiar with that, he was a copywriter in the late 70s, early 80s. Absolutely an incredible man. But he has this concept of 5 stages of awareness, and people are unaware, they're problem aware, they're solution aware, they're product aware, and they're aware. So what we're doing as a company is we're trying to craft the story that we tell to meet people where they're at, so
Mm.
that we could move them. Moving people from solution aware to product aware is a really simple touch point,
Mhm.
right? And so we find people that are already interested in stem cells, that are already doing their own research, that are already finding things, and we move them from solution aware to product aware. Now we're moving people from product aware to solution aware, from problem aware to solution aware to product aware. And so we it's a method that we follow to be able to easily take people through that and tell the story. I think as a marketer, as a CEO, as a leader in a company, you have to be a storyteller. You have to not only tell the story of your company, but of your customers, of your product, of your finances. You have to be a storyteller, and I think that's one thing that we do really, really well, is taking the information and pulling it into a story that people can relate to.
Mhm. Right. How does the product work? I mean, person takes it, of course. How does that kind of like how does it work that it's able to target her shoulder like that in that instance you're mentioning, and like how does that function?
So if you think through this process, I mean, and it goes deep into cellular communication and the signaling that occurs within the body to be able to show distress or pain or damage or discomfort, right? So what happens is this is your body's natural repair system. This is not something that we're doing. This is your natural, like when you were a kid and you broke your arm. How many? I broke this arm like I don't know 6 times skateboarding and falling out of trees and off swings and stuff like that. Right? I go to the doctor. They throw a cast on it. They say come back in 6 weeks. They take the cast off. They're like you're healed. Okay.
Mhm.
How does that work?
Right.
Right? Then it's the same thing. Your body has its natural ability to repair. What we don't know right now is that you can actually support that process. When you get sick and you need to boost your immune system, you take vitamin D, you got your vitamin C, you take sun, you get rest, you sleep, and all of those activities boosts your immune system. How do you boost your repair system?
Mm.
You see? So all we're doing is we're utilizing the same mechanism of actions through herbal supplements that mimic that signaling of I need help to increase the number of stem cells in circulation in your body. They're your own stem cells. They come from your bone marrow and they get released and you have more in circulation. The beauty of this is your body has a natural hierarchy of what needs to be repaired.
Mm.
And when we reach a state of homeostasis, meaning our body is just cruising, there's still repair that needs to be done, but it doesn't have enough to repair on, which is why age-related diseases come into play. If you look at the studies, and this is in the literature, every age-related disease you can point to, the individual has 50% less stem cells in circulation than the healthy person. So if the case of the matter is that if you're trying to repair your shoulder and you're an older woman trying to repair your shoulder and you have less stem cells in circulation, that repair is going to take slower. If you can increase the number of stem cells, if you can support your body's natural ability to repair, and through that process, then you have more stem cells available to not only function normally throughout your body, but also to go and help your shoulder repair. It's going to happen naturally. So we're not doing anything that the body doesn't already do. We're just supporting its ability to have more stem cells in circulation, supporting its natural ability to repair.
Mhm. So what does the roadmap look like, Ryan? What's the 5 to 10 year plan right now? What are some of your top of mind goals you're trying to hit to really bring this out and go through that hierarchy you mentioned earlier?
No, I love that question, and it's always something we're asking. I think I'm a big believer. Have you read the book Extreme Ownership?
No.
Okay, it's a great book, and in there are laws that they use, and one of them is called pivot and move,
Mm.
right? And it's being agile enough to be able to be aware of opportunity and turning those opportunity in production. Um, and so we're constantly asking our question, what's our goals? Obviously, this is bigger than us. And whenever you're involved in an opportunity that's bigger than you, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to look for others to come help you.
Mhm.
So I think eventually the strategy is for an exit, to be able to allow others to take this beyond what we personally have the ability to do. I'm really comfortable in that 50 to 100 million to 150 million in revenue size business. But as you go beyond that, there's a whole other infrastructure that needs to be put in place to be able to support that. So I would love to see, and I've talked a lot to Christian and Stephanie. I would love to see us be able to have another exit with them to be able to help fulfill their dreams that they have and support their goals that they want to support. But at the same time, we're right now our near term. We're just trying to tell the story. We're trying to get from a. I think the country is ready for it. I think there's a lot that has happened. You know, 2022 was hard for a lot of people, but I think what it did is opened eyes to wait a second, there has to be something better out there.
Mhm.
And I think people are more open to natural solutions, or more open to natural remedies, or more open to things that are that are found in nature that can have an opportunity to support your health. And so we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to tell the story and hopefully have an outcome um, that will support the goals that Christian and Stephanie have. We are going into some more rigorous clinical trials on our, like we currently have that study going, ongoing studies that are preliminary trials in Spain. But to tell the story in a way that people will listen to us, we need to do something a little bit more rigorous. Um, and really dive into the science so that we can show the outcomes that in a scientific methodological way that will be accepted in the medical industry. So that's one of the goals. That's a big goal that we have. Um, and again, just continuing to grow to tell the story. This product has the ability to help people. We know it does.
Mhm.
So the idea is, how do we continue to tell that story so that we can?
Mhm. Well, Ryan, that was all the questions that I had. I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. I think it's a really important story to tell, and it's important that people understand that there is a product for this solution that they want. And that's a big, I think it's, I mean, you mentioned it's not necessarily the biggest jump, but I still think it's a big opportunity,
Yeah.
to move that needle along, because I think a lot of people aren't aware yet of what's fully out there. And so I'm excited to see how you're going to bring this to them and how you're going to,
Well,
continue to bring it out.
no, and I appreciate the opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit and share this. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to continuing this relationship, Ben. Thank you so much.